Hey guys, this one right here is the brand new Google Pixel 9. It's the cheapest out of the 4 new flagship phones, but we still have a whole lot of features to discover, including all of the AI shenanigans. And I guess let's start right away with the specs and the design. Alright, for around 900 euros over here in Germany, you will get a smartphone with a 6.3-inch OLED display with Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2 for the protection. Finally, a decent sized smartphone in comparison to all of the other smartphones these days, which have at least a 6.5-inch display. So you got a Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on the front side, but you also have the same on the back side, and you will get an aluminum frame which is not polished, which means you're not going to see all of your fingerprints. But the back side is a different story. I'm lucky that I have the white version of this phone and you barely see any fingerprints, but it's probably a different story if you have the black version of it. By the way, the Pixel 9 is also available in the colors wintergreen and peony. The rest of the back side is pretty standard. You have the Google Pixel logo right in the middle, and you have your big metal bar on top with your dual camera setup inside. One little side note is that this phone does not wiggle around even if you put it flat on its bad side. Now the Google Pixel 9 is an overall very curvy smartphone with curvy edges on all sides. It weighs in at 200 grams, which is pretty much for a smartphone with that size, and of course it is IP68 water and dust resistant. Now let's get over to the display and the audio. Like I said, you got a 6.3-inch OLED display that lights up with a peak brightness of 2700 nits, which is more than bright enough for all kinds of sunny conditions. It also has a 120Hz display, but you have no control over it, so you cannot trim it down to just 90Hz or to 60Hz at will. There are also a few display settings, like you can change the colors from adaptive to a more natural look. You can customize your lock screen, like you can add some text on the lock screen, add a few shortcuts like your wallet or the camera, and you have an always on display mode, but keep in mind that this will drain your battery quite fast. As for your videos, there's nothing bad I can say. You have HDR10 Plus resolution with very nice colors. Thanks to the OLED display, you got inky blacks and a good contrast, and also the black bezels all around your smartphone are rather slim. All there is the selfie camera in the middle, and I don't really think this one gets in the way. Next up to the audio, and this one is great. You have a stereo speaker setup on this phone, which gets very loud, and even if you turn the volume all the way up, you will still get a clear sound. But just let's give this one a try. First up, some of the specs and the design. And you have to know that you will get a huge smartwatch with the Samsung Galaxy Watch Ultra. So what about the battery life? The Pixel 9 has a 4700 mAh battery with 27 watts wired charging, 15 watts wireless, and 12 watts reverse wireless charging. So really not the greatest compared to a bunch of other smartphones that can already charge with 120 watts and even more. It roughly takes about 30 minutes to go from 0 to 50% and about an hour for a full charge. The good thing is that Google made the chipset more energy efficient, which means you get a long way with just one single charge. You can play some games for about 8 to 9 hours or watch videos on YouTube for about 15 hours. And this is more than long enough for most of us. Now feature-wise, the Google Pixel 9 has a lot to offer. First, you have to know that you will get a full 7 years of OS and security updates, which is pretty much normal for Google phones. You can also decide between 128 and 256 gigs of internal storage, and about 14 gigs are already used up by the system. Now then you got a fingerprint sensor, and in my experience this one works just fine. And then you also have, of course, your face detection, and this one works good as well. What I also really like is that you have no junk apps on here like on many other phones. Normally you will find Booking.com, many games and other pre-installed apps, but not on this phone right here. Now up to some AI features, and first up the Magic Editor tool. In order to use this one, go to your Google Photos, click on a random picture, then on the Magic Editor tool. Now you can circle different parts of the picture and add something totally new. Like you can have a flower field underneath your feet, you can stand in the middle of the ocean and other things. Plus it will give you different examples and not just one final picture. Another thing you can do with the editor tool is to change your photos composition. Just click the little icon in the middle and it will give you a few different compositions like the auto frame, portrait, and you can even change the sky. It really depends what kind of pictures you're using. And once again, you will get more than just one final picture. Next up, Gemini. You can use this for all kinds of stuff. Like for example, if you're watching a basketball video and you're not familiar with all of the terms and the rules, just click the power button and ask Gemini all of your questions and you will get your answers right away. You have the AI weather reports for a quick summary of the day. You can circle an image to know more about it. And of course, you have all of the features of the previous Pixel phones, like you can have an instant translator, or you can get chat suggestions, but you can also use Gemini to write birthday wishes and a lot more. Let's check out the performance and the gaming. And the Tensor G4 in combination with 12 gigs of RAM is doing a very good job in your day-to-day tasks. You can easily do some multitasking on here, swipe around and open up apps fast, and this is without any lags. And when it comes to gaming, I guess you can say it's decent. You may have some stutters here and there when you're playing Genshin Impact on high or medium settings, but it's good enough for a nice gaming experience. But don't expect to get a silky smooth frame rate. That's not going to happen on this phone. You also have a small gaming dashboard with a few options, like you can live stream directly to YouTube. You have an FPS counter, there's a do not disturb mode, and you can optimize games. But this doesn't work with all of the games. Now finally over to the camera. Now like I said, you got a dual camera setup with 150 megapixel main camera with OIS and 48 megapixel auto wide camera. Plus you can even take some macro shots. Now on the front you have a 10.5 megapixel selfie camera that can shoot videos with 4K resolution and 60 FPS, which means it is just as good as a front camera. You also have a whole lot of camera modes starting from the normal portrait mode. You got night sight, panorama, long exposure, action pan, and add me. It's a funny mode for two people to get in a picture. One takes a picture first, then they swap position, and the other one takes the picture of the same frame. And then you end up with something like this. Now overall, the Google Pixel 9 is taking some very good pictures. I probably like the portrait mode the best, as you get very nice crisp pictures with a good background blur. I found out that you have to be a little bit closer to the object than normal to get that nice background blur. Plus there's even a zoom option. By default it is a 1.5x zoom and it goes all the way to a 3x zoom, and pictures will still have a great quality. Same goes for the selfie pictures. You will have a 0.7x zoom and a 1x zoom on both of your portrait and your normal pictures, and you will get a nice separation of the object from the background. I also noticed that your pictures aren't overly saturated and have a more natural color. Also the macro shots are quite nice, and even an unskilled photographer like me can take some decent pictures. The only thing is the zoom option. You can definitely not use the 8x zoom on here, as pictures have a very low quality. I would rather stick to something like a 3x zoom, maybe 5x, but that's really the maximum I would go. And guys, there we have it. That's the Google Pixel 9. Now like always, I will leave the link to the smartphone down below in the description. And I guess with that one being said, I will see you in the next one. Peace.